live stream.
Work on it.
You're live. Sign into chat.
Hacha.
Hacha.
Ooh,
Hi.
just a little bit. Ooh, that song was like really dirty for like when I was singing it, which was I was like 11.
That's so funny.
It's about doing it.
All right.
Are we on? Are we live?
We are on
That's good to know.
YouTube.
Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying,
Let's just
should we start the show before I banter
well,
about Sesame Street?
check.
Sesame Street. Oh
just
yeah,
check
I guess we
check
should
the
make
audio.
sure that we
make sure that we're hearing ourselves on
going out.
YouTube.
I love that you have the same gestures as I do for Mac. Like I just swiped up and like I was like, yes, that's exactly what I do.
That is.
Love that. All right, let's see. Ride the Bantha. Man, I wish Bill would come over and fix my freaking computer already.
You and me both. Okay, so this is saying talking up here. Okay.
Hooray!
Hooray.
We did it.
Okay. So that's going live. We'll do it live.
Ride the Bantha.
All right, let me minimize that. All right. Okay.
Yaron Spiwak.
On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, we have another guest.
Yaron Spiwak.
Intro music.
My country feels no good to me dead. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
I really hope I didn't butcher his name there.
I
I
know you
felt
got the
pretty
first
good
name
about it.
right. Yeah, I know you got his first
Yeah.
name right. So
Anyway,
that's
Bantha Milk Podcast. We're back.
good. Bantha Milk
And
Podcast.
we do have a very special guest today. Very excited about it. Rob, how did you even set this up again? Like, who did you like?
So I had my people contact his people.
So,
and
all right,
it's
all right.
time to be real, just in time
Oh,
as well.
goodness
Yes.
gracious, really? And because we're doing it on time, it means we get 3 now. Did
Three
you know
now.
that?
Be reals right now.
We're
3
gonna
of
be
them.
real. I'm
So,
gonna be realer than you.
that's
Wait,
right.
Wait, let's do them at the same time.
Do them at
Ready?
the same time, right?
Synchronize. 1, 2, 3.
I think we got it.
Oh, we're so cool.
Yes.
All right,
Perfect.
so
Oh
if
my
you listen to
goodness.
this, you can follow us on Be Real.
You sure
I don't know
can.
why you would, because
I don't know why you would want
distinctly
to.
tell you not to follow people you don't know personally.
But you can
But
follow us.
But so did
yes.
MySpace and Facebook, and yet here we are.
And here we are.
Anywho,
And Snapchat and all those other good
so
needs.
yeah, Yaron Spiwak.
So Yaron posted a thing on this thing called Instagram.
I've heard of it.
Yes. Okay. My
Is that like the TikToks?
it's like the TikToks, but of the Instagram variety.
Oh, that kind.
So yeah, so Yaron posted a post on Insta about how he worked on an album that was coming out on iTunes, and this album was called. Oh no!
What'd you do?
I'm just trying to find where my saved is in iTunes here. Recently added library. It was called Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge, Olga's Cantina,
Rex's
playlist number 2.
Man, I found that real fast.
You sure
it's
did.
right on his Instagram.
It is on his Instagram, yes.
Anyway.
So he posted a thing on his Instagram about that, and I said, hey, this is super cool that you worked on this. We're a Star Wars podcast. Would love to have you come on and talk all about it. And he said, wonderful.
Love to hear it.
And that's how we got him on the show. So he will be joining us later on tonight, maybe about 15 minutes or so. Hopefully, he said he would be on at our time 9 o'clock, his time 6 o'clock. He's over there on that West Coast,
Just like our buddy Tom Amin.
just like our
Those
buddy
two
Tom
should
Amin.
hook up and make some music together,
I was
man.
when I was doing my pre-interview with him, I was telling him about Tom Amin. He said,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's super cool." So
Yeah, well,
maybe
alright.
they will meet up, and who knows, whatever.
Look
So,
at this. It's Bantha Milk Podcast bringing musicians together.
bringing musicians together. And I also told him all about you, about how you have your degree and all that good stuff from LSU.
I do. I
and
do
how
have
you
that.
are super smart music person.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't wait to talk to Nick all about music.
Oh, good. It's good because I've done extensive score study before today. And,
You sure
really
have.
Did my homework.
Yep.
No, anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, we're very excited. Really cool always to talk to someone who is in the business and like really doing it, you know,
Yep.
doing the thing. So I already poured my Bantha milk because
You
I'm
sure
impatient.
did.
So what do you have over there?
I have from Made Right from Workhorse Brewing Company.
The Workhorse. Where's that?
Workhorse. Oh, it's in King of Prussia.
Hey, I know where that is.
King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Workhorse Brewing Company.
God save the king.
Yes, they did. Our mission, simply put, is to make sure your beer is made right. We take a no-nonsense approach to classic beer styles that are broadly appealing and consistently delicious.
Can you read the first sentence first again?
Our mission, simply put, is to make sure your beer is made right.
Okay. Do you think that there are any breweries out there that's not part of their mission? Like the ones that don't say it specifically?
They're like, our mission is to
make
give
it
us
taste,
the worst beer
taste
possible.
good, but like, we don't have to get it right.
We don't have to get it right. We just want to get it, kind
We
of
just want
right.
to get it.
So this is a Vienna lager. It's 1 pint, 5.2% alcohol. Keep cold, drink fresh from Workhorse Brewing Company.
Very nice.
That's what I am drinking. You must have your bullets, or do you have something else?
No, I've got bullet.
You have your
regular
bullet.
old bullet. So while you crack that, crack it. I thought it was going to be bad. I was like, waiting for it. But that was
it finished up
anticipation,
strong. Yeah.
and then resolution. I like it. So while you do a masterful pour there, I was talking before we went live. So I watch two things primarily in my life. It is Sesame Street and it is Seinfeld. I love them both pretty much equally.
And I like how they both go together
they
equally.
do. They go together like Ramalama Ding Dong. A little bit ahead on that.
A little
one
too
there,
much.
Rob.
I got a
That's
little
okay.
anxious at the end there.
Yeah, I saw you had started to pour straight up a little earlier than I expected.
Yeah,
And I was like,
a little earlier than I should have.
But sometimes it surprises you.
It does.
Anyway, so Seinfeld and Sesame Street.
Sesame Street.
I was watching Sesame Street the other day, and of course, Sesame Street loves to do the parodies.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I love Sesame Street. I will watch it all day, every day. I'm a big fan. Except I will complain the more recent episodes have cut down to 30-minute episodes instead of 45 to an hour long, and so things just move a little too fast for me. You can catch more on our Sesame Street podcast later today. Anyway. So
our Sesame Street podcast
one
later
of,
on
one of
today.
our many one of our many podcasts in the Bantha Milk family of podcasts, which of course is a subsidiary of Earz-up
That's
Incorporated. Anyway,
we're in the Earz-up
Earz-uposphere.
Sphere, yes.
Yeah. Universe, the Earz-up cinematic universe.
That's what it is.
Anyway, so there was a Star Wars parody.
Oh, nice.
There's actually a couple.
Wait, is
of
it
them.
the old one with? Are you? These are new ones.
These are new ones. Yeah, so it's not the one with Mark Hamill.
Okay.
So it's Cookie Monster as Flan Solo.
Okay.
With his sidekick Cookie. The Cookie.
Flan Solo.
Yeah, Flan Solo. It's who is it? Only One Cannoli.
Nice.
Luke Pie Hopper.
Okay.
I forget who else. It was really good. But the whole reason I'm saying this is because just in a really ridiculously obscure, barely noticeable, I didn't even notice it until Pagan pointed it out to me sort of thing, in the back of one of the shots on Tatooine with Only One Cannoli is Snuffleupagus. And he's a Bantha.
And he's a Bantha.
Yeah,
that's
and he's just
awesome.
in the back there chilling. Like, he's not doing much. He's just back there being and Snuffleupa Bantha.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I want my next tattoo to be. Is a Snuffleupagus.
A Snuffleupagus Bantha. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. That is awesome.
If you want to contribute to the Nick Gets a New Tattoo Fund, you can send all inquiries to Earz-up, care of Bantha Milk Podcast.
That's right.
Yeah. Rob is deep in depth in something over there.
So,
are we getting our guest in gear here?
So our guest right now is sending me pictures of
what?
Of things that he used and things that he did for his albums and stuff like that.
Man, you really led me on.
I know you were thinking, you were like, real yes.
I don't know.
Go
man.
ahead, tell me more.
There was some weird potential there.
I'm downloading these photos and videos as we speak, so that's why there was that delay there.
Have you had a sip of your?
I did. I'm sorry. Yes. While you were talking, first I had a sip of the foam.
Yeah, sure. Tastes like the sea.
It's a very nice Vienna lager.
Yeah.
I like it.
What is it? What makes it a Vienna lager?
The location. It's more of a German.
It's more of a German style.
Yeah. So uses German hops and grains and things like barley, right? Hops. Yeah, hops, grain. No, what's the
barley? I think
it's barley. Yeah. Uses German. I'm gonna say barley, but
Rob just
feel like that is so wrong. Yes.
I think it's barley. Barley sounds right.
3 ingredients.
We're only an alcohol /
I know,
Star
right?
Wars related podcast. Well, we were supposed to be more alcohol related, but no one ever wrote us recipes.
Yeah, and then we never.
I personally blame the fans.
I blame the fans. I blame everybody except for us. That's the way people do it today.
It's America.
Yes. What is in beer? Let's try that because the three grain hops. Grain is the word I was thinking of.
Isn't?
Yeah, grain hops, yeast, and water.
Oh, so there's no barley.
No barley.
So what's barley in?
Barley is Is
that like mead?
Mead is made from honey.
Huh. I think I know that from Stardew Valley, but like, I feel like barley's in something. Maybe you can add barley to beer to make it taste different.
As a food grain, natural sweetener, and as an ingredient for brewing beer. Okay,
so
barley.
So maybe some beers have barley and some don't.
Yeah, barley. Maybe the grain is peas grain, barley grain. Maybe whatever.
This is riveting content.
People are turning away as we speak. They're like, What's worse than what's worse than people misquoting
Star Wars
or
anything
is people who have no idea what they're talking about and trying to make you believe they know what they're talking about.
Hey, man, if you say it with enough confidence, people will go with it.
It sure is.
You know, I went skiing last week.
You did?
Yeah, man.
Okay. That's
all.
it?
That's all.
That's all. I was waiting
I'm very confident in the fact that I went skiing last week.
You know what? I bet you did a great time, didn't you?
No, I was terrible.
You were terrible at it? Oh.
No, you can't tell them you did great, right? Otherwise,
right,
because
then they want to go skiing with you.
Yeah, I don't want to go skiing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get sunny boboed.
Well, that's only if you go close to the trees.
Yeah, you gotta. He didn't realize the trees are bad. Oh, this got dark and sad.
It got dark real fast. Let's get back to Star Wars.
Star Wars news.
Star Wars news. Let's hear the real Star Wars news theme.
You gotta change your lock screen on that bad boy. So when you just
it's just my finger.
Or I need to get my computer fixed. So that
you need to do that so that we
working.
can get the real soundboard with the real air horns and all that good stuff.
We had it for like a day.
I know. We had two episodes we had it for. It was
amazing. Great too.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be back once Bill gets off his hindquarters and helps me out.
Come on, Bill.
I really haven't seen him since that happened.
He's hiding from you.
He is.
He's like,
You know what I'll do? I'll tell him there's Magic the Gathering, and he will be here.
I'm in. Let's go.
Do they make a Star Wars Magic? I feel like they don't make a Star Wars Magic the Gathering.
Right. No, I don't think so. They should. Sure, why not? So I have some fun and some interesting news, most of which, ironically, right now is all about people complaining about The Mandalorian, because that's what Star Wars fans do, is after a show ends, they have to complain about it.
Until the next thing starts.
Until the next thing, and then they complain about the next thing.
The circle of life.
That's right. So first one, people were disappointed by Emily Swallow and the Armorer. Because everybody was expecting her to be a traitor, and since she wasn't, everybody was disappointed in their fan theories.
Well, yeah, fan theories are fun and all, but, they're fan theories.
Right. The Armorer proved herself a hero, fighting alongside Bo-Katan against the Empire before allowing Din to officially adopt Grogu. A villain she is not, and actress Emily Swallow has now shared her thoughts on the theory. So this person posted a tweet. He said, "As we all owe you a big apology for ever doubting your loyalty to Mandalore. Forgive us." And she replied, "I'm not mad, just disappointed." So she was disappointed that people thought that she would become a traitor.
Well,
so she's not mad at us.
I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to prove ourselves in the future.
Yes, and I'm sure Emily Swallow is a parent, because that is what you always say to your kid.
Or your students.
I'm not mad, just disappointed that you didn't pull it out. So, yeah.
Way to go.
Darn it. All right, so that was a silly one.
I guess I'll just have a different kid.
I guess so. Did you know there was a deleted scene from season 3 that Mandalorian actor shares photos of? Bum, bum, bum. Which, this is funny to me, because I like 2 million other people watch The Office Ladies, or listen to The Office Ladies, I should say.
I hear Dwight was on it recently.
He was. What is it, Dwight? He forgot one.
DWIGHT.
So listening to that, especially The Office, they would start the week with like a 45-page script, and each page is supposed to be a minute of show. Okay. And a 30-minute show actually has 22 minutes because of commercials.
Right.
So they would record all 45 minutes, all 45 pages, and then would have to cut it down. So there's always stuff that gets deleted and gets cut away and whatever.
Isn't that interesting? There are some podcasts that literally all they do is just read from a script.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird, man.
Not us. We can barely read.
What? Read what?
Read what?
Who?
So
second base. Anyway.
So this article talks about that there was a scene that was cut shorter Giancarlo Esposito's in his full Darth Vader black armor costume, and he is yelling and screaming. And so apparently what was cut from Season 3, the finale saw the Mandalorian finally return home to reclaim their home planet. You know when Bo gives her speech of, we're going to get back Mandalore with 2 different clans? That scene was much longer, Sackhoff confirmed. That scene was super long. This is the rousing thing. You're inspiring these 2 separate clans to get out there and go retake their home world. It has to be emotional. It has to be big. And for whatever reason, it got cut down a lot. I loved this entire season. I thought it was fun. But that moment for me was like, ... I wish they'd given more context of what happened right before, because I think that it would have made that speech land heavier. And the majority of the takes I did were Braveheart's William Wallace-esque.
Ah.
So she really...
William Wallace is 7 feet tall. I have heard. Have you ever heard he'd smite the English with fireballs from his eyes and lightning bolts from his arse?
Yep, that's... you're William Wallace? I thought you were bigger. So apparently, which is kind of weird to me, because The Mandalorian doesn't have to fit into a time slot. Sure. You know, like they can make it 35 minutes. They can make it 47 minutes. They can make it an hour and a half if they want to.
I want them to.
Yes. So my only assumption is, for whatever reason, the editors, that guy Jon Favreau, and who's that other guy who's the Wolf Man?
Joey Bag of Donuts.
Joey Bag of Donuts. They, for whatever reason, maybe they weren't being as inspired by her speech as she thought she was, because I don't know why else she would cut down such an inspirational speech in a show that has no time limit.
I'm wondering if Disney has imposed on them a time limit. I'm wondering if Disney wants them to keep it below a certain number of minutes runtime, because, again, there are plenty of episodes that we've talked about that is like, this could have been more, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems to me like, whether it's budget reasons or whatever, they seem to be keeping it under, you know, I don't think we've ever seen anything go above 55 minutes.
No.
You know?
And it's funny because, like, I'm watching Ted Lasso now. I don't know if you are or not, but Ted Lasso is amazing.
I don't have any Apple. Everyone tells me I have to.
Yeah, it's the third and final season, but every episode this season has been 45 minutes to an hour long. Mm-hmm. And I'm used to The Mandalorian, like, 34 minutes. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's still going.
Yep.
So, so it's interesting that they would cut it down when I guess they didn't need to, but whatever.
It just seems like any more... If you need more than 35 minutes to tell a complete story.
Right.
And like any of the more serious shows are, 55-minute episodes. You know, look at Walking Dead, Game of Thrones shows. I'm trying to think of any other big like TV shows this is kind of silly because it's kind of dated, but like what's the stupid British one with all the lords and the duchesses and Abbey. Downton Abbey. I love Downton Abbey. I'm not gonna lie. I was really a big
I never
fan.
watched it.
It's great.
Is it?
It really is. I think that was one of those. Pagan really liked it, and it was one of those things I watched during COVID. But like it's serious. It's like it's real drama, and I don't think Star Wars is ever gonna be real drama until they start like actually making real drama. And this was the Mandalorian's the closest thing, but again, you can tell longer. You can get more into it. You can give us more. We want more.
We want more, and maybe it's a budget thing. But if they filmed it, I think it takes more time to watch the whole clip and then try and piece out what you didn't want.
Sure.
Then it will be to say this is amazing. Let's run with it. But who knows?
Not me.
Not me.
Maybe Yaron.
Well, Yaron just texted me. He said, "Can I have 10 more minutes, please?"
No.
So we are.
It's now or never, Yaron.
He was.
Now's your moment. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to. No,
that's right. You're quoting Eminem now. He was in a meeting from 4:30, so probably ran long.
Ooh, meetings are fun.
Meetings are super fun.
Yeah.
The next news article that I have is, it's clear something went wrong. The Mandalorian Season 3 gets intense fan hatred for destroying Grogu's chance to become a Jedi.
Oh, no.
So I was thinking about it, and it is, this article does have a couple of good points. Season 2 was all about Din taking Grogu to find his Jedi people to become a Jedi.
Right.
Then season 3 starts, and all that's reversed because people who didn't watch Book of Boba Fett don't know how and why it all got reversed. And somebody also made a good point, like, he was gone for 2 years, wasn't he? Like, suddenly they're just like, hey, we're back, we're buds again type of thing, which I can get. Like, if in that 2 years that we didn't see anything, Grogu's doing his thing, but it really doesn't feel like there was a big time jump.
No, it doesn't. They could have aged Grogu up a little. I mean, I know it's hard to do that when he's like aging slow, but they got to do something to make him or make it clear that we shouldn't have to guess what year it is.
Yeah,
or
how much time has gone by, and even like all of the Mandalorian politics, like the people that he met before. I guess maybe when you see that the Armorer and her clan were on a different planet now at this point, and we're kind of established in this mountain house village thing, whatever,
the covert,
whatever, the covert,
cave,
the cave, covert, their cave.
I gotta tell you, man, this is not a comfortable chair.
No,
is this the normal chair I have over
it is.
here?
It's the same chair you always use.
My butt hurts, man.
You can grab that one maybe over there.
And that one's a plank of wood.
No, you want to bring the rocker
that
over?
That would be amazing, actually. But no, it's fine. It's fine. I just might bring a pillow to cushion my
you might have to cushion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, man. Oh, I'm just feeling.
I'll have to build you. I'll have to build you a chair like I built me. Yeah,
right. Except yours like falls backwards too much.
It's the base
get
of
a 2.0 going. Like this. This is the prototype.
When the chair bottom part was from a chair that was somebody was throwing away.
Right. Yes.
There's a reason why they were throwing it away. They were probably was breaking on them all the time. Anywho, back to the story. On our next podcast.
That's
Bantha
right.
Milk build stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that.
We could.
I mean, we couldn't. You could for sure. Like, I can't build squat.
That
would be almost like a home improvement Tim Allen and Al Borland sort of a. Well, Tim Allen and Al Borland, right? that is.
Tim Allen was always one breaking things.
Yep. That was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yours was much better than mine was. Anyway, I love Home Improvement. I still watch it every now and then.
Do you? It was a great show.
It holds up.
It does hold up.
Yeah.
Because it was a good, wholesome family show. So
yeah, but it wasn't too corny. It had its like very special moments and stuff like that. But like, it was silly and like just ridiculous at times. I don't know. It was good. It was good stuff.
So in this article, they're talking about how at the end of the second season, Grogu goes off to become a Jedi. In the beginning of the third season, or in Book of Boba Fett, Grogu changes his mind and decides that he doesn't want to be a Jedi. And now at the end of the third season, Grogu and he are going to be exploring the universe as Mandalorians. So people are saying Book of Boba Fett ruined season ending 2 with the child too soon. The second season of Din Djarin series showed the father-son-esque duo searching for Grogu's people. In the end, we got to watch an emotional moment when Grogu was taken away by Luke Skywalker for Jedi training. Although the fans were not completely unwilling to a reunion, the rushed comeback of the character in Boba Fett series ruined the adventures and the events of the first 2 seasons.
Again, I don't think it ruined it. That's pretty hyperbolic. I don't think him not being with Luke and choosing Din over Luke makes sense and does not preclude. In fact, it's like it leans into the whole theme that they've been going with for like the past 3 years or so in Star Wars. That is like, you don't have to be in the Jedi Order to be look at Ahsoka. Like,
when Ahsoka is not a Jedi. She was being trained at one point, and then she left, and she's not a Jedi. Yeah,
so just because he's not training with Luke anymore doesn't mean he's not going to still train in the Force or he's 50 years old. He's trained at the academy too, and like clearly the dude's got skills. Like in the end of season 1, when Grogu holds back that fire, it's from a little hand flamethrower.
Yeah,
and it's like, no way, dude, screw you. And when he's done, he passes out.
Right.
And in season 3, he does the same thing, except it's a ship exploding with presumably millions of pounds of jet fuel being burned away.
Burned away all around
and
him.
He's not struggling. He holds it back the whole time. And then when he's done, he just has to take a little sit down to relax.
Yes.
So it's very clear that he is progressing in
his Jedi ways.
Yeah, and I don't think that was
Force user ways.
I don't think that was a mistake. I think that that was an intentional parallel.
Yeah.
They wouldn't again. It's the same exact thing.
And like you said, it's even more fire than before.
Oh,
Before it was just a flamethrower. This time it was an entire ship blowing up.
Yeah, and remind me, I'm trying to think about which ship was that? Was that one of the Star Destroyers?
It was the giant. Yeah, it was a Star Destroyer with the skull painted on the bottom.
That's right. So again, I don't know the science, but like those things are a couple miles long. You got to figure how much jet
Pretty
fuel
big.
is
That's a
on
lot
that.
of fuel in there. Yeah, and just an explosion of everything else that's going on in there.
I'd imagine, if we again, this is us getting real,
Yes.
which is ridiculous, but like he would probably have to hold that force shield for a good 50 minutes to an hour and a half.
Right. Well, they
just
showed it
while
like
everything is exploding and around him and just.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't
Smoke
that
if you
long
got 'em.
in the in the thing, but it definitely was longer than the flamethrower.
Sure.
By the way, can you see the chat over there by any chance?
Oh, I'm not in it. Is someone in the chat?
Yes, Bob Chapek just joined the chat.
Oh, I'm in there.
He said,
him
"Hey
out.
guys,"
Hey,
which
Bob.
is weird considering he's the former CEO of Disney. That he would just address us as "Hey guys."
Well, we're buds.
We
I
are
didn't tell
buds.
you. I didn't tell you that
No.
he was coming today.
Yes, but Bob Paycheck is
Yeah,
there.
Bob Paycheck. We love Bob Paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I love paychecks.
Yes, I wish we got some from this. And so the end of the article states, while you're chatting it up with those guys,
State it, Rob.
states that the fans criticize that the third show further ruined the chances for Grogu to become a Jedi and nullifies the beautiful, emotional Season 2 conclusion. According to them, the character should have been allowed to spend more time without each other, which could have helped in both of their story arcs. The fans have also taken to Twitter to express their views against the decision to make the makers to take the decision taken by the makers in the third season. So after rewatching the Mandalorian, this is a tweet from the Star Wars Academy. It's entirely clear. It's clear that something went wrong. Season 2 was Din's mission to return Grogu to a Jedi. After an intense season, he finally completed his mission, but the Season 3 premiere made Season 2 kind of pointless. Somebody replied to that. Book of Boba Fett explains a lot of this, but thank you for saying this. The incongruity is pretty clear, and it's one of the things I find difficult to come to terms with. To which somebody else responds, I feel like the show easily could have ended with Season 2. Both Mando and Grogu's arcs felt like they had run their course and reached a meaningful conclusion. Season 3 felt like a rushed afterthought, especially with Mando going back to his culty ways, which undoes the Season 2 finale.
Star Wars fans are such nerds.
They are.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
So,
listen, you can complain about real stuff like Book of Boba Fett and the economy, but give me a break. This is good quality Star Wars content.
So I'm thinking, I thought about it. I have some
Kroger coupons. The nearest Kroger to us is probably a good 5 hours away.
Yeah,
But, whatever.
we're in. Let's go.
But Kroger is of the Acme family of
Well, Acme is owned by Albertsons.
Albertsons, and
So
Albertsons is of the it's the same family.
Yeah.
Kroger, Albertsons, Acme.
Acme, yeah.
Is Giant? No, Giant's a different one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you can catch more on our grocery store podcast.
Yes.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, we do
Our 100th episode next Tuesday. We're actually doing it on Circle K. It's a very special episode.
It's a very special episode. So I get it, but I also see where they're going or what they're trying to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
In the Mandoverse, it's set in between a very specific amount of time. We've already seen the movies before it, and we've seen the movies after it.
We know where the big scale stuff is going.
Right. So we can't suddenly have this new mega Jedi that we don't know about in the 3 movies after this.
Right.
So
then where is Grogu?
Yeah.
What during the fight against Snoke and stuff. Yeah. So.
Right. So that's why I can see them saying we're not going to make him a Jedi and make him more Mandalorian and less Jedi because we need to keep it in the timeline that way. We can't change what has already been filmed and recorded.
Sure.
So I get it. I like it. I don't mind it. I just want to see Grogu and Din flying around, beating bad guys. And
Grogu getting more awesome, Din getting more awesome.
Yeah.
Just enough so that we can get a video game soon.
That's right.
I won't be able to play.
That would be amazing. And you could, train Grogu up so he can use the Force better.
Can you imagine Grogu being your companion in an RPG video game where you're leveling up your Mando armor and he's leveling up his Force abilities and it's like basically God of War with Kratos and Atreus, but with Din Djarin and Grogu, or Din Grogu, I should say.
Din Grogu now, yes.
I'm all about that. Call me Ubisoft. I'm here. I
yeah.
guess it wouldn't be Ubisoft. It would be EA. Or
They're
Respawn. Respawn did.
Respawn did it
Fallen
now?
Order and Survivor. Well, Respawn is owned by EA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that.
It is that.
DizDining.com has an article, signs that you're a true Star Wars fan.
Oh, boy.
All right. Step 1, you have very strong opinions about who is the best droid in Star Wars. This says, you have very strong opinions about who the best droid in the Star Wars canon is. There we go. I got it right.
I mean, that seems silly because everyone knows it's Chopper.
I mean, they have a picture of K2SO.
He's pretty cool too, but Chopper.
Chopper is.
I was reading something the other day about the Ahsoka series and how they're really hoping, and I agree, that we're seeing Chopper in live action.
Yeah.
Let's see Chopper be Chopper.
Yeah,
Chopper should be like killing people and like showing no. He was
the exact opposite of R2-D2. R2-D2 was a rule follower. He was a good guy. He was quiet and did his thing. Chopper is very aggressive and very sarcastic and very out there.
I think they're actually pretty similar in like their attitudes. In that, like, I don't know that I call R2 a rule follower, but he's definitely less chaotic.
Yes.
He did kind of like as far as like protocol droids go, astromech droids go. I'm actually, because I'm reading these books now, I'm on the second book of the Thrawn trilogy, which is Dark Forces.
Yep.
Dark Force Rising. And they specifically say that R2 is like all sorts of like, you're supposed to have them wiped every X amount, and your X-Wing you're supposed to have wiped every X amount as well. And because Luke specifically doesn't, number one, R2 interacts with his X-Wing with 30% more efficiency because he basically is his X-Wing.
Right.
But also, like, he's like erratic and not, he has a personality essentially, which Chopper does too, and I'd imagine it's a similar thing with Chopper. He's like not something to exactly wipe his memory with and stuff.
And if you look at Chopper's like not falling apart, but he's missing parts and stuff like that. So you know that nobody's taking good care of him, where they're like, oh, we need to wipe your memory so that you run, update to iOS 10.
Leopard,
Yes.
Got to update from Leopard to Lothcat.
Right.
Oh, iOS Lothcat.
iOS Lothcat. That would be amazing if they did that. All right, so that's the first question. They have very strong opinions. You know what the various lightsaber colors represent and which you'd own. Do you know all the different colors and what they represent?
So it depends. Like, are they talking new canon or are they talking old canon?
They're talking whatever this one article that they. Oh, it doesn't even say it.
I mean, in like before Disney bought them, like green were by Jedi Guardians, and usually it were people like the people who would like be more like with the Force and like wisdom and peace and talking, and the blue ones were by Jedi Sentinels, and that was for the the more martial of the folk who were not as in tune with their Force powers, but use the Force for like their hoozy wootzies. That's an official word.
That is an official word. Hoozy woozies.
And then it was yellow for like the Jedi. There was another one.
Yellow lightsabers are also relatively rare, but they represent the power of the sun and hope for the future. In Star Wars,
this is new canon for sure.
The Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano wields a yellow lightsaber to symbolize her new role as a leader and protector.
Interesting.
Purple.
Purple is Mace Windu.
He's Mace Windu.
Because he's a Banff.
Signs of nobility and wisdom. Orange.
Orange is bad guys.
Orange are associated with ambition, creativity, and resourcefulness.
Like I said, bad guys.
Jedi Master Luminary Undili is known for her orange lightsaber, which she uses to create effects in battle. And hopefully, what was the guy's name from the first Thrawn book? Joruus something?
Jorah Sabayoth.
Yes.
Jorah Sabayoth.
I really hope that's who that is in the video.
I do too. I think it'd be
I
pretty
really
rad.
hope that. And this says silver lightsabers are seen. Oh, I guess maybe in the white. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan uses a silver lightsaber when he faces off against his former apprentice, Darth Vader.
What?
This represents the
doesn't.
end of Kenobi's time as a Jedi and the beginning of his new role as protector of peace.
I immediately reject this article.
That
is complete BS.
Called false. Red lightsabers are often associated with the Sith or Dark Jedi. Often.
Yeah.
Like
much of the time.
100% of the time, this works 50% of the time.
That doesn't make sense.
The
Sex Panther. It smells like used diaper filled with Indian food.
Oh God, what is that smell?
This is worse than the time that raccoon got in the copier. You can catch us on our Anchorman Quotes podcast.
Anchorman podcast.
Anyway.
Preaches anger, hatred, and aggression. Blue and green lightsabers.
Hey, look at that. We got a guy in chat with us.
There he is. Let's see if we can...
Oh, we got to turn that down a little, Mon Frere. You got it?
Let's see. I might have to turn
we're just going to turn your input down a wee bit.
Now I don't hear you at all. Can you say something again, sir, please?
Yes, of course. How are you?
There we go. Okay.
How you doing, man?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
So we were just in the middle of a discussion on some ridiculousness, but we do want to go ahead. Do we want to take our little commercial break?
Yeah, let's take a commercial break because our good friend Yaron just popped into the chat. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, get everything all situated, and then we'll come back with a wonderful interview with an amazing musician. And were you considered an Imagineer?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good. I don't want to give you a false title. I was really hoping that I didn't say that wrong. But yes, and a former Disney Imagineer. So we will be right back after this commercial break.
Hey, maybe we want to turn him down just a little bit more.
So how are you, sir?
Thank you for joining
I'm
us,
good
brother.
for jumping on it. So surprisingly, I wasn't sure what was going on.
No, this is exactly the stuff, man. We love it. We're live streaming right now to our YouTube, but we're gonna go ahead and piece this together for the audio itself for when we push it out for our podcast. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, his sound is way better now.
Yes.
All right. So you want to?
Did I get a drink? I know you said
Yep,
you guys.
go ahead.
You're
Yep,
welcome
go
to
ahead,
go
go
grab
grab a
yourself some
drink.
Bantha milk,
Yep.
man. We've got ours.
We got ours already. We started with some news and stuff like that already because that way you didn't have to sit through us bantering about silly stuff, and we can get right into your interview. So you can get your drink and get everything ready, and we will get everything ready on our end.
How about a beer? Would a beer be fine? Should I?
I'm drinking whiskey. He's drinking a beer.
I'm drinking a beer,
drink
so
whatever
beer
you
is
want, my
fine.
friend.
Yep, that's perfect.
I'm gonna go grab my beer. I'll be right back.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
We'll be here waiting for you.
With bated breath.
Yes. Oh, here we go. I can turn him down here.
Did you just turn off his audio or his video, or did he do that?
I think he did that.
Cool.
I turned down just in our headsets, but it was still blasting in Audacity.
Yeah.
So I think I got him turned down in Audacity now.
You're seeing how the donuts get made, people watching us live. Hey, Bob Chapek is still talking.
Bob Chapek.
He's a former Imagineer, kind of. He's Imagineering that right now.
Bob Chapek is.
Q ad for Blue Chew. Love it.
That's what they always...
My favorite lightsaber color is Slytherin. Dining is possibly the second or third least informed purveyor of Disney clickbait out there, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is not a whole lot of informed purveyors of Disney clickbait. So we're stuck with what we got.
Yeah. They're really good at clickbaiting. So, but that article was pretty lame.
Yeah, especially when they got to that part about the thing
the
that didn't
silver
happen with the lightsaber.
Yeah. Silver lightsabers are always good stuff.
And that's it. All right, we are set to jet. And 5, 4, 3. No, we are back from our buy that product, whatever product that they just said to buy. You should buy it.
Yeah.
But right now we are back with a very exciting interview. And Yaron, I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Yaron Spiwak, is that how we say it?
Pretty close to Yaron Spiwak.
Spiwak. All right. So Spiwak. All right. So, man, I'm just so excited that we got you on. Rob has been talking about, bringing you on since he had that conversation with you. So thank you for being here, brother.
My pleasure.
Rock on, man. So, Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about this guy, or we can let him tell us a little bit about him. But I think we need to know.
I think we need to know all about why we have the man with the most interesting name on the show.
It is definitely
because Nick and Rob are nowhere near as interesting as Yaron Spiwak is. That's a very fun name and fun name to say. So I'm very happy that you are here. So, according to YaronSpiwak.com. Which is interesting that they have a whole website made about you. I wonder how that happened.
That's pretty cool that someone went ahead and made that about you, man.
Yeah, no, that's pretty
cool. No one's done it about me yet.
By the way, what's your Bantha milk you have there in your hand? You got yourself a beer.
What do you got?
Stella.
Stella Artois. That's
nice.
a good one. Solid
good.
choice.
Good choice. Yep. Nice solid drink there. All right, so Yaron was born in Israel, which is pretty exciting. Growing up, he learned to play the oboe, piano, drums, and studied voice.
All right.
So, and then on top of that, you played volleyball. So how did you fit all that in, just going all the way back to high school? How were you able to do all of those things?
Our kids aren't allowed.
I know. Our kids aren't allowed to do that type of stuff. So
That's a good question. I think in Israel, we have majors in high school. I grew up in Israel, as you said.
Sure.
And during junior high, I love sports. My parents always, tell me do one sport and one music instrument. And in I think junior high, we were in varsity. We were super, super intense, aggressive about it. And then like you said, I had to make a choice. Is it going to be sports or music? And for high school, I decided I'm just going to go with music. And volleyball has always been my love, but I decided to go with my soul and my heart.
there you go. And you made Nick very happy too that you picked music.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff. We exist out there, man. Us people who do this stuff and love it.
See?
Yeah. Yeah. So from there, you got to play alto saxophone, which Nick, what's the difference between an alto saxophone and a normal saxophone?
Rob knows a lot of the terms really, really well. He's really informed. The alto and the normal. It's a saxophone, Rob. They're all saxophones.
They're all saxophones.
It's a smaller saxophone than a tenor saxophone.
Oh, a tenor saxophone. That's what I said. Yes, I definitely
Normal
said
saxophone.
normal saxophone is a tenor.
I'm a saxophone player as well, brother. So all in good company.
Yes.
But my important question: which saxophone did Richie Cunningham play on Happy Days?
I don't even remember.
Neither of you.
See, they didn't show it in Israel.
No Happy Days.
You don't know? Oh, you guys are missing out on some amazing television from the '80s. All right, anywho.
But what did he play? Which one?
I don't know. I was
All right,
hoping
we'll
you would
have to
know.
look that up, I guess.
You guys
Yeah, you
are
don't
the
even know.
saxophone players.
Is it the normal
It's
saxophone?
a normal saxophone. And then you played in some big bands, classically trained in piano and voice, providing an excellent foundation for your jazz and pop playing. So Nick's a jazz player.
That's
So
what
you
they tell me.
go ahead and speak jazz to each other. Go.
That's not a thing, Rob.
You don't speak jazz? Oh.
No.
Um,
It's airplane. We don't speak.
I think I grew up with all kinds of music. Even in high school, we were competing. Who knows more records, from Miles Davis to Michael Brecker to
Sure.
Duke Ellington. It's just that I think I would say the kids in high school, this is the time you have to listen. You have the time to listen and just absorb everything.
Sure.
And everything came together for this job or other jobs that I did. Jazz is a great foundation.
So is there a jazz scene in Israel? Is there a lot of jazz that happens there?
Huge. It's huge.
That's great.
It's Avishai Cohen, the trumpet guy. Avishai Cohen is a big name, I guess. And the contrabass guy, Omri Moore, Daniel Zamir. There's great guy. Gilad Exelman, the guitar player. There's tons of great jazz players. Yes.
That's excellent. Yeah, and I mean we're in New Jersey, so it's not exactly like there's a thriving jazz scene here. But you want to play any jazz music at all, you got to go into kind of Philly or maybe not Atlantic City anymore. Atlantic City, you go at all costs.
There's nothing you can do in Atlantic City
There's
now.
a big jazz scene for sure.
Yeah, but you're in L.A. Is that where you are?
Los Angeles. That's
Certainly a jazz scene out in L.A. for sure. There's pretty much an everything scene out in L.A. if you want to be a musician.
That's true.
But good for you for making it out there, man. It's I know it's there's a lot of struggle that goes into living out there and making it work, but you're doing the thing, man. So he's out in L.A. He's a music producer as well, right?
Yes. Well, we skipped over.
I don't. You're the one who's saying the things. I'm just
know.
drinking the alcohol and bantering. Go.
That's what you do. So everybody is it male or everybody in Israel has to join the military when
Everyone.
you turn 18?
It's everybody.
Is it everybody?
Yeah.
I remember. I actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember I learned that because Gal Gadot served in the Israeli military as well, I believe.
Yeah. So males usually for 3 years, and females at my time was around a year and 8 months.
Okay.
I think it well, but yeah, everyone definitely has to serve in the army.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then it says here on your bio that at the end of that you were diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. That's a scary thing.
That is correct.
Yeah, man.
And then obviously now you're cured. Yes, is that what the term would be for it?
Oh yeah, in remission.
In remission.
In remission. That's what I was thinking of. Good.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So very good. But because of that, you started composing your own music and instrumentals and all that stuff. And then you decided that you were going to go to college. Well, you came over here. You entered some contests and scholarship music and all kinds of stuff like that. You much more ambitious in your musical traits than I ever was. I took a half a year of trumpet playing in 7th grade, and that was the end of that. And then you came
Very
all the way over here to America, and you joined UCLA. You went to UCLA, which, Nick, that's a University College of Los Angeles. University of California, Los Angeles. Yeah, not Louisiana. Not near your LSU school that you went to. And then you started playing a lot more music over here, and then you became a accomplished pianist and was a regular performer at Revolver.
This is nice. We're getting his whole bio while he sits and listens.
I know. Yeah, no,
and then we can be like, all right, well, this has been nice. It's been nice to get to know you, Yaron.
Nice for
thanks,
me to
Rob.
read everything
See
about you. Yes.
So why don't we just leave it at, you came,
right.
You went to college. When did you come from Israel over to America?
When I was 24, around when I was 24, and I think just to go a little bit back,
sure.
You said in college, I always worked in I always did music in high school and before the army. And then when I went to music school, I was like, I did it all my life. Let's see if after 1 year I can make money out of it. Sure. And if I make money out of it, I guess that's my, that's what I'm supposed to do in life. And after 1 year, I worked, I did some arrangements, performed, and started making money. That was like my test to myself if I should go on with it.
Sure.
And I could call myself a musician, I guess.
I mean, I think that's probably the trick that people who don't make it fall into the trap of, like having a specific day or time and saying, right, I'm giving myself this amount of time. I'm a very realistic musician. I love to perform. I can't afford to live in New Jersey, right outside of Philly, with my family and only perform. You know what I mean? I do teach, and I love teaching and I love performing. But I think setting that time was probably pretty smart. You had a time, if I want to make it work, I've got this much time to make it work. Here we go. So that's really rad that you actually did that and you stuck with that, man.
And things change. I started as a performer, then became a producer. Things always can fluctuate.
Absolutely.
As well if you're open to it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big thing too, is just being open to whatever is thrown your way and taking those opportunities. So you said when you were 24, what year did you come over from Israel?
2007.
2007. Okay, so was that 16 years? I'm bad at math. And so UCLA, and then how did you begin your contacts with Disney, or how did you begin working with Disney in the way that you did? Because again, you've got a pretty awesome, you've had a lot of really interesting and awesome experiences with your time with Disney. It just is a really cool experience. So how'd you get hooked up with them?
That was a good story. It's a little bit of a Cinderella story.
Love it. Well, it's Disney, so how could it not?
That was about a male Cinderella.
Sure. Cinderfella.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was a piano man for many years, singing and playing piano, kind of played my student loans for UCLA. And one of the guys that went to the bar was his name was Matt Walker, and I actually had to go to I needed a bathroom break. So I was like, he's like, dude, can you play piano? I said, yeah. So okay, great, Matt Walker on piano.
Great.
And he always remembers me to this day. I put him on the spot, but he did great. Then we just became really, really close friends. Went back to LA. And he's like, yeah, I'm a producer. I was like, yeah, everyone in LA is a producer. Like, yeah.
Me too, yeah.
But he's like, yeah, I worked on little movies like Titanic and Preacher's Wife.
Never heard of it.
Docs, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should stick around this guy.
Yeah, right.
Okay, maybe you are a producer.
You always got to stick around. Let him at least give you a couple names before you just in case.
And he's a music executive. Worked for many companies, but with Disney for a really long time. And then he actually needed an administrator. He needed an assistant. So I started as an assistant, just serving coffee and doing emails and all that kind of stuff with a temporary assignment. And Kismet, or whatever you want to call it, towards the end of my assignment, he needed someone to kind of help him out with a specific show for Disneyland Paris. It was called Making the Magician. From budget to set up recording dates to find players to and then eventually arrange. And I always say I had all those skills before because of music school, because I did it for friends, because I did it for myself, and then I was just oh, I can do that.
Sure.
And after doing that on that specific show for about 2 months, he's like, okay, you're fired. I'm gonna hire you as a music producer because that's what I need.
Yeah.
So that was, it was being in the right place, the right time, with the right person who believed in me and pushed me to move forward.
It is cool, it kind of goes to show in this business that if you really try, you can get fired. And it really will mean something.
And
positive,
it'll
and everything will be all right.
It'll be something even bigger.
I have a funny story. So on Mickey and the Magician, there was Shanghai was opening, the new park in Shanghai was opening around that time. And I couldn't get him on the phone for a couple of days, but the director and everyone were like, "Oh, we're gonna finish the big number." And to me, it was like, it was musically, it made a lot of sense to me, and I kind of knew his taste at the time. So I was like, Matt said to do this, and that. And obviously, I couldn't get him on the phone. So 3 days after, I was like, "Oh, by the way, I told everyone that that's what you said." And there was like a silence on the phone. It's like, either he's going to fire me or either he's going to.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yaron, I fucking love it. It's great." So like you said, I think sometimes you need a little bit of chutzpah, a little bit, just kind of like take a chance and hope that someone, that's how you distinguish yourself sometimes from other people that maybe comply, are like more like,
Sure.
don't stick out.
Chutzpah is definitely the word. I think that's a good word for it, for sure.
Yeah, I like how you were like, look, this is what he said.
Hey, man.
And you're like, look, either you fire me or you love me for it. So and it worked out well because
like a couple of bars, but
yeah,
they did want their answer, so I took a chance.
So you took a chance. That's totally awesome. So yeah, so in 2016 you started working for Disney. Now you were on a whole bunch of different things for Disney. And other things around. I love the fact that you worked with a bunch of different songs and creative stuff for the Muppets as well. So did you meet Kermit? Did you hang out with him and drink some beers with Kermit and all that good stuff?
We did. I think one of the great things working for Disney, and especially Imagineering, is the fact that, Marvel, Lucasfilm, obviously, the Muppets, Pixar, there's so many things and so many different types of music that it's never boring.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of them have distinctly different types, for sure.
Yeah, and the head of the studio, Lee Slaughter, is an amazing leader. And a couple of times they called me. They needed a couple of songs for Rolf, the dog.
Uh-huh.
And I might have co-written with him, and some help with the piano a little bit. And of course, the actors are incredible. Bill Barretta is one of the creative forces there, and of course, the guys that do speaking.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So since you were at Disney from 2016 until you said you no longer work for Disney, so when did you leave Disney?
Actually, about a month and a half ago.
Wow.
He was fired
He was
last month.
fired. Finally, they found out about those 3 bars, and they're like, "Oh, you're out of here."
Florida, and I decided to stay in Los Angeles. So.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I did hear all about them constantly trying to move people from LA to Florida. And you were one that said no, I'm not going.
Well, you never know anymore because they're trying to close down whatever district, Reedy Creek.
Oh, Reedy
whatever,
Creek, yeah,
whatever
Reedy
they're
Creek.
doing down
They're
in
mess.
Florida over there. So,
but to be honest, it's like even in the 1 month, I got to do a show for Warner Brothers in a park in Abu Dhabi. So with Bugs Bunny and Daffy, and
that's so cool.
It's been a decent month for you, man. That's pretty rad.
Knock on wood, that hasn't been that bad since.
Yeah,
man, that's great.
So with all these things in your credits here for all the different projects that you did, when it says music producer, are you writing the songs or are you working with musicians and then saying, "Oh, change this, do this," or how much creativity is on your shoulders versus you just making sure that it all sounds great?
I would say pretty much all of what you said. There's no real answer. Sometimes people think music producer is the guy who has the Pro Tools session or Logic session,
right.
or sometimes it's the person who comes up with the idea, puts the budget together, puts the legal contracts together, schedule the recording sessions, manages the recording sessions. And a lot of the time, like, because let's say for Olga's Cantina, it was almost like 19 artists. So there has to be like one mastermind, but one person, one producer that puts it all together and has a vision and kind of telling everyone what that vision is. And like, I'll be honest with you, some songs like Judith Hill's, I'd like, okay, it's perfect. No notes, but
right.
Some songs for like 17
Revisions,
17
yeah.
revisions. So it really depends. And some of them I would record myself, and sometimes they would keep it. The arrangers, songwriters would keep it. Sometimes they would switch it. So and sometimes I would write the lyrics. Sometimes I would help with the melody. So it really, really depends. But I think me being a musician, like you said earlier, really helps me distinguish, and I have usually really great relationship with the artist.
Sure.
Of knowing when to step back or when like they really need help and ideas, and me to push them forward.
And so again, this is as someone who I've played a lot of places, I've taught a lot of places, but I haven't really gotten a whole lot of industry, like recording industry stuff under my belt. So would you describe your role as kind of like the buck kind of stops with you? You have a team of people you're working with, and you all kind of work on this same artistic vision that you have, but you're kind of when it gets to the end of the line, you're the one who has to make the decisions like one way or another about the way things go.
I would say it's a team effort. I think like a great producer, especially at Disney, is two things. First, he's a great translator.
Okay.
From creatives, like I work with Scott Trowbridge and Chris Beatty. They were the head creatives on the Oga's Cantina and the Village, as we call it, and Morrow for the Galactic Star Cruiser. So I would translate what they want. Like, no, it needs to be more blue. It needs to be more fat. Like, just kind of figure out what they say and translate it into music, like very specific music terms. And also casting. Like sometimes the guy who writes the song is not the right guy to mix it. So someone to write it, someone to play it, someone to mix it, someone to edit it. So like sometimes it's just like knowing the right people that would complement the song and make it the best it can be.
So your Rolodex must be huge because I can get this mixer, he can do this, and I can get this singer and all that stuff. So you're like, you're piecing all those people together all the time. So that's pretty.
I do stuff of knowing lots of amazing, incredible musicians that I was very fortunate to work with. Yes.
That's awesome. Sure. And surprisingly enough, Nick DeSalvio was never one of those names that ever came in.
If I'm ever in LA, man, sure skip across the country, man. If only. I tell Tom Amin all the time, like, I'd love to collaborate with him on something, but yeah, it's hard. People are like, yeah, let me, I can maybe get this dude in Jersey to play sax for me, or maybe I can get this dude who lives down the street to just come up and record something. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to do that.
Yeah, my wife and my kid just wouldn't let me move to LA. That's the big problem.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of credits here in your time in Disney, which is amazing. Between Walt Disney World, like you said, Hong Kong Disneyland, you worked on, you're music supervisor for a lot of the stuff in Hong Kong Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Tokyo. Even on the Disney Cruise Lines, you were the music supervisor of 3 different songs over there. So when you are given these tasks, do they show you, like, here's the cruise, here's the show, we need you to do this? Like, do they take you all over the planet to go to Hong Kong Disneyland and show you the scene and say, okay, now are you working with people from Hong Kong, or are you working with the same people from LA all the time and just using, like, images as inspiration?
It depends. Like, again, one of the cool things about working for Imagineering, I did different things from like parades to stage shows like Lion King and Disneyland Paris to nighttime spectaculars, all kinds of. I think everything is a little bit of a different process. Like with nighttime spectaculars, we have animatics that you work that kind of like would show the animation on the castle and the fireworks and the lighting. Stage shows and parades is kind of like a blank slate. So I think everything is a little bit different, but basically you have a creative director, an executive creative director, and executive producer, and it's like a core team that you kind of workshop the idea. And a lot of the time, what's cool also about music that is different than film. Film, usually it's the last thing you do in post-production.
Okay.
You have music. And music in the parks is usually the first thing that you would like, that lighting matches to it.
Sure.
Fireworks and like we own the time code as we say it. So it's definitely one of the more essential, and especially with Disney, that like such a strong song, catalog. It's really the heart of every product that we do. So
yeah,
just work with the creative.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm just thinking about, because like I've taught things about John Williams and things about song composing for movies and how he gets basically a cut of the movie and says, hey, make music to this. But like you said, especially because Disney has such an extensive and beloved music catalog, like the music has to come first, right? They're playing the music, and then everyone else, all the other creative decisions, kind of, like you said, the lights, the fireworks, the animation, like everything else has to line up with the music, because that's what you talk about the music or the movies, you talk about the characters, but really it seems like in Disney it's the music that sticks with people the most.
And like we say, like if you say Sony music or Paramount music, people wouldn't really know what that means. But when you say Disney music, people are like, we don't know what it means, and they feel something, and it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Sure. It's cool that you put it that way. A lot of responsibility, right? And I feel like that again. This is just some music teacher in Jersey, but like anyone who I've ever encountered who like works for Disney, it does seem like has this reverence for the brand. You know what I mean? It just seems like they probably, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I doubt you'll say I'm wrong here. It seems like they have a respect for the people who work for them, and the environment just seems very, you don't hear about a whole lot of disgruntled Disney employees.
I would say more to the brand, more to the guests. Like one of the first things we do, I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the first thing you do when you sign with Disney is take a course called Traditions. And they really drill it into you that, people pay tons of money, not tons of money, sorry, but they save up all their lives.
They
save up all their lives for this special experience. So I have to do the best that I can to give them that best experience. Like no matter what, if I'm feeling sad or tired or like I need to do my job 100%. So the people that are paying full dollar for this experience are going to enjoy it. So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. Again, like I said, it just seems like the people, they take it seriously. Y'all do, so that's cool.
So, talking about nighttime spectaculars, you worked on Harmonious, and when you were working on that, you said for that, did you build the music first and then they built everything around it, or did they tell you they're building these barges and this is what's going to happen and we need music to go with it? How did that one specific show work for you, if you remember? I don't know if you.
Yeah, of course I remember. It wasn't long. Again, every show is different. That one was incredible to work on. I think we had the first 5 minutes pretty fast. The chants, like all the languages together, like Steve Davison and Mark Hammond, the arranger and the show creator, came up with those. And then we were kind of like, what's going to be the next 15 minutes of the show? And then me and my former boss, Matt Walker, came up with this idea of how about, instead of Disney interpreting other cultures, it'll be the opposite. Those cultures interpreted those Disney songs that, they were based upon. So then for, Lion King, we went to South Africa for the Nadaluvu Kids Choir. For Coco, we went to Luis Fonsi to kind of see his twist on it. And for Dig a Little Deeper, we collaborated with Karen Clark and her daughter, Kara Sheard. So that was kind of like the idea. And then the sky's the limit, when you, like you said, when you have these amazing musicians and incredible talent and everyone just want to work together. I'm really, really proud of that show and like kind of how authentic it turned out to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. I'm just looking at all the different things you did, and each one is different. And, like you said, for some things you need to know, like, okay, this one has to be a little darker, or this one has to be, like Rivers of Light. It's all about, Disney Animal Kingdom stuff. So you're incorporating more nature things and stuff like that into it. And then Hong Kong Disneyland, watching all the videos and stuff about the behind the scenes of making Hong Kong Disneyland and what their culture likes and what they want incorporated into it. You got to try and incorporate the music so that it's something that they want over there versus what we want in Florida or in California.
So on that, I feel like maybe just I've been to Disneyland and Disney World a couple of times, but I don't foresee myself going for a while. I've got some money I need to spend on a daughter that just came, but
Congratulations.
So, thank you very much. She's pretty rad. I dig her quite a bit. I'm going to keep her around. But do you have you found that like when you're working with the the Disney brands in various the Disney Paris, the Disney is it Hong Kong?
Hong Kong, yeah Hong Kong.
Are there are there differences in the way you have to approach the music, or differences in the way that you approach kind of the process?
Yeah, first of all, I want to just quickly correct you. Some of these shows that you mentioned, I was the creative director for, which means I worked with the music producer. Like you said, because I have a pretty big book, sometimes I was just like someone to listen to this and give advice on who to mix. So a lot of these shows, I did a double title in Disney.
Nice.
Creative director, and one was, so not at all of them I produced the music.
Sure.
But to your question, like, yeah, definitely every park is its own beast. Two examples that I can think about. I worked on the Baymax ride for Tokyo Disneyland, and there the movie is not called Big Hero 6, it's called Baymax, and the focus is really about Baymax and his brother. So I had to watch the whole Japanese version, and like with the Japanese person, and he kind of explained to me, so what is different, and then we were like, what would work for the ride? And then we thought about this combination of both Japanese and English. And at first we tried like just one song that had both, and then they loved it so much, like we want all the songs to have both languages. So again, Shanghai Disneyland, I worked at the Nighttime Spectacular for the 5th year anniversary, and we knew that they're huge on Marvel. They just love Marvel.
Okay.
And they're like, okay, let's do a Marvel section. You're like, there's no Marvel song. It's all underscore. So we had to figure out how to make like 3 minutes exciting,
Of the
exciting.
underscore exciting, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like really, respecting each park, each country, and giving them. And I think that sometimes that's how you make it successful. You really give them the respect and authenticity that they deserve.
Man, so I never even thought about it, because like I know for a long time I knew that like Japan had a very thriving jazz scene, for example. Like Japan really loves jazz music. And so like I never even thought about how that would translate to like other arts. And so like you say that like you said Shanghai, that like they're very into Marvel. It seems like America's cooling on Marvel. So it is interesting to see just like different parts of the world, where their kind of fan hoods kind of go to and fro at different times. Something like me, who spends most of his time kind of squared in one spot, wouldn't even think about. So
Right.
it's pretty interesting.
The best successful in China is Zootopia. Like you would never think that. So it's like, again, different countries, different things that you have to do your research in order to be successful.
Sure. Yeah. And again, it's Disney. So like you said, they're going to do the thing. They're going to go that extra mile to make sure that they get, whoever is going to that park is spending the money. They're going to make it worth that money.
Yeah, and by the way, the park is very involved too. Like a lot of the times, the park executives they come to some of the reviews and they give notes, and we take them very seriously. So they also know what they like and what the guests also love. So I think again, it's a collaboration.
Sure.
Yeah. So the things that brought you to our attention was your Instagram post about Rex's playlist number 2. So now we're getting into the Star Wars portion. You did a lot
We've all been waiting.
I know, this is what we've all been waiting for. You did a lot with the Olga's Cantina and I can't find it, but the
Galactic Cruiser.
So Galactic Star Cruiser,
and then the Galactic Star
Sublight
Cruiser
Lounge.
also, so when you did, I'm pulling up Rex's playlist number 2. And you were the music producer for all these songs in Olga's Cantina?
Mm-hmm.
That is correct.
Yeah. So, what was the purpose? It was just supposed to just be background music playing while people are in Olga's Cantina, and then you had to find and turn that into some fun Star Wars-esque type music for this?
No, it started actually. I work with Scott Trowbridge and.
Sorry, this is your I'm trying to play some background music as you're talking.
It's a little foreground music.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, it's all good. I know that song very well. Did you know that it's a guy on a kazoo?
Is
really?
Is that what you sent us the picture of?
I know that's actually something else.
That's something else. Okay, tell us about that later. So
I work again with Chris Beatty and Scott Trowbridge, who are the creative. And Corey Rouse, Margaret Harrison, Holger. There's like a whole team of great creatives. And the ask was, we need music for there's going to be a animatronic figure, Rex.
Yep.
And he's going to be the DJ, and we need music.
We need him spinning some tunes.
Yeah, and initially it was like they wanted like to do around a 20-30 minute loop, and I was like, because they didn't want people to stay there too long.
Right.
And then I was like, I don't want people to leave because of the music.
Right. Yeah. Like they start hearing the same thing they heard when they came in, and they're like, "Oh, we heard this. Let's go." Yeah, that
like,
does seem kind of. You don't want that.
It's like
the bartenders would,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, it's
so
kind of like
within that budget. I worked within that budget and was able to do close to 2.5 hours of music.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, by going through like real, and again, they wanted like diverse music. So usually a lot of the project we would go to just one person because it's easier. But then I was like, it needs to sound like a playlist from space. So
yeah.
I really need, and I didn't have a lot of time. So I was like, if those songs are not going to work, maybe those songs are going to work. But then almost like 90% of them worked out, and we had 2.5 hours of music, and it was just, again, a team effort, getting notes from everyone and adjusting these songs, making sure that they're different.
Sure.
And like there was a lot of research. Like in the beginning, I did listen to all the music from the film, and we called the film in Rex, we call it diegetic, which means like from the land. It's not like the John Williams the underscore that you hear. It's like song being sung by aliens. So like I said, I had to like kind of analyze what the styles are, which is like funk or world music, and see that I can either need to be close to them, or if I'm making a new, if we're making a totally new style, like it has something to do with the movies. Like it can be totally different. So it was a lot of research, and then we worked with the people from Lucasfilm and made it happen.
So. No judgment here. Are you a Star Wars fan, or were you a Star Wars fan going into this project?
Oh, you're gonna reveal everything.
you can neither confirm nor deny if you'd like.
No, I'm a huge fan, but I'll tell you back then, like in the same year, I had to work on shows for Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars. So like, I had to like see all the 16 movies for Pixar.
Sure.
I think it was like 10. So when I came to this Star Wars meeting, I was like, I would confuse Wookiees and Ewoks, and my boss, would be like, Yaron, you really need to start seeing the movies.
Yeah, start watching it.
Man, can you imagine if for our gig they said, man, you really got to watch more Star Wars? And
yeah.
like, oh, man.
But no, then I watched it, and I was hooked. It was
okay.
Great.
Now, growing up in Israel, was Star Wars big over there?
Actually, surprisingly, no.
Interesting.
Okay.
My generation, maybe I don't care revealing my age. I'm 40. Like I was more into the Matrix and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
So I go with like that type of visual effects, but again, like what I love the stories of Star Wars, and even the visual effects hold till this day, and like especially with a lot of the new TV series that are also great.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just,
well, that's what I feel. I mean, I feel like Star Wars stands up because it's really just. It's kind of a classic story, right? It's good versus evil. It's right versus wrong. It's perseverance. Like it's just telling those same stories that have been told for hundreds of thousands, if not years, just through a different lens and with a. So yeah, I mean, I
think also the aesthetics, like
sure.
the aesthetics, are incredible. The aliens diversity, and not just like a mask of like you just see over. It's like the attention to details is also what distincts it from a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're gonna get into the Star Cruiser in a minute, but I just want to make a couple of comments about the playlist here, about Rex's playlist. The song that I have in the background right now is called Ma Petisa, and it says like the artist. I'm sorry. I'm gonna listen to Dolston. The artist is Ewok This Way.
Ewok This Way.
Ewok This Way.
Ewok This Way.
So who is Ewok This Way?
They're a band from Star Wars.
From Star Wars. Somewhere out in the Star Wars is a band named Ewok This Way. And then song number 4 on here should be our theme song, Blue Milk Surprise.
That's the stuff, man.
Since we're the Bantha Milk podcast, Blue Milk Surprise. And the band is the Loth Cats.
Love it.
So I love it. I love all the creativity. Unfortunately, there's only 9 songs on this playlist out of your 2 hours of songs that you guys came up with.
Well, you have to hear listen to playlist number 1. There's 20 songs on that one.
There's 20 songs on the first one, and then playlist number 2 has 9 more songs.
So how much did Lucasfilm have were there any sticking points for them, or it has to be this way, or you need to make sure you include this, or don't do this sort of a thing?
We definitely collaborate with them. We work especially with Matt Wood. I don't know if you heard his name. He's sound editor for Lucasfilm. He was nominated for a couple of Oscars,
Sure.
and with David Collins. And some of the the Cantina remix that we did, we had the original stems from John Williams.
Wow.
That Sam Dorn mixed it, and a lot of the languages we worked with Pablo and Matt Martin that kind of have the big dictionary of all the languages. So we would just use existing terms or existing language, or if we make it, it would have to go through them.
I want that
and
book
use
so
a lot of the
badly.
same.
That book exists. I just found out, and I want it so bad. It's a big book of Star Wars terms and languages.
A lot of it is online.
Oh man, I'm doing some Googling when I get home tonight, man. That sounds amazing. It's a rabbit hole.
All right.
But,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
So I was just going to move on to finally the reason that we're recording this on this Monday instead of last Thursday, which was in fact Star Wars Day, because just on Friday a whole new album, brand new, just dropped from the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, the original soundtrack, which you had a major hand in developing all of this. So tell us what the Galactic Star Cruiser is. A 2-day immersive vacation.
We've mentioned it once or twice on this podcast,
and it's very affordable.
Very affordable.
Just anybody can go for just $15,000 a person or something ridiculous.
He works for the mouse, dude.
I know. He doesn't work for the mouse anymore,
right.
so he can laugh along with us as we talk
just
about
nod.
it.
That's right.
And just
yes.
nod, and yes, these are not his terms, his words.
Yeah. He does not endorse these.
He does not endorse
words.
this. Yes. So the Galactic Star Cruiser, it's very immersive, very very cool. The people who have gone on and have said
Bill went. Bill said it was awesome.
He said it was awesome.
He was at a great you just don't even realize that there's another world that is not Star Wars that exists out there.
Yeah, and just to, I think, to kind of explain, it is a lot of money, but it does have more than 20 actors at one time, for the whole day, and you have 3 meals, shows, you go to the park, and so when you think about it, a hotel costs about $500 a day, so it's not
sure.
that different.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the hotel prices down there, you're getting a lot more compared to going to just one of the other hotels for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And believe you me, if
we could go,
we would be there in
and
a
then
heartbeat.
next week,
Yeah.
and then the week after.
we would go on 3 trips in a row.
I don't know if I can afford it, but it's an incredible experience, and it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you worked on all the music for this. There's 11 songs on this. The first one, New World, is this when everybody is coming in to the Galactic Star Cruiser? Is the music just immersive around you all the time, or are these songs specific for specific things that are happening to you while you're on it?
So first of all, just to correct you, I didn't work on all the music. I worked probably on 70 to 80% of it.
Okay.
For the great team, my boss at the time, John Dennis, and Mary Webster, and Dan Scott. But I worked on most of the diegetic music, and I think where it came from, in the land, as you know, you don't hear a lot of music around you. It's mostly just sounds because it's a land. It'll be weird if someone you hear.
Right.
But in the hotel, we really wanted it to be immersive, and we wanted it to be music playing all the time. And early on, we figure if someone Shazams it, we don't want it. It's oh, I know this song from blah blah blah. I know. So we're gonna have to make our own music, and it's gonna have to be long loops that people don't get annoyed with it. So we created around 8 hours of music. You can have there's peaceful, upbeat, celebratory. There's different music in the lounge. There's Taste Around the Galaxy, and I think what you talked about was the Gaia show. It's a cabaret. It's a 30-minute cabaret show with Gaia leading it, and she's the star of the galaxy.
Sure. Yeah, and there's a video. I think I saw a video of that on like from your website specifically, where you get just kind of like a little glimpse of what that is. So you said you made about 8 hours of music, and you said they're largely long loop based sort of things that like can be ambient noise in different spots throughout the hotel, kind of depending on where you are.
Oh, not ambient noise. Like each one is a
ambient
song.
music, right? I'm sorry, yeah, ambient music that can be going on around. You're not going to necessarily notice like an end of the song. It's just something that loops continuously. I
would say like you might not notice it, but you can feel it. Like I think we did get a lot of great feedback, which I think was why the album came out. A lot of people complimented it because they do notice it, and there's a lot of languages, there's a lot of styles, and and it's like an underscore to your immersive experience. So it's more than an ambient. I think it really, it gets you to get connected to the experience.
Sure.
Here's the Gaia song that we're playing in the background now.
Yeah.
So what came first? Did the lyrics come first or the animatronic come first?
Guy's real.
Yeah,
it's a real person. Okay. I'm sorry. So okay. Well, that's exciting.
So my question is, because again, you're making music for Star Wars, right? So you can't use like the most Earth-sounding instruments. You said earlier on your piece you had used a kazoo, which like I would have never thought about. Like I heard that sound and I'm like, oh, that's really Star Wars-y. But when you said it's kazoo, I looked. I'm like, yeah, of course that's a kazoo. But it was you never hear a kazoo used, So was there, did you obviously you made an attempt to use instruments that are going to give you different sounds? That to me looks like a trumpet mute of some. Oh, is that a trumpet mute with kazoo?
It is. You got it.
Wow, look at that. My wife's a trumpet player, so I'm
Michael
well-versed.
Kramer did I forget the name of the track, but it was one of his tricks to get that sound of the Star Wars sound.
That's rad, man. So are there? I mean, that's who thinks of that? Not me, obviously, but like it does give it that distinct sound that you would you think that a trumpet playing into a kazoo would give you a sound like Star Wars? Probably not, but it does. Were there any other kind of like what other types of instruments did you find yourself like kind of leaning towards that aren't necessarily your regular Western sort of style instruments that you would use?
So I think a lot of how you create Star Wars music is out of this world music is just combine a lot of different type of world music, sure. Like Tibetan throat.
Sorry.
Listening to us
Sorry.
Just crashed their car.
I know. I was trying to upload the video that Yaron sent me, and it started playing. I just started playing. I apologize.
Anyway, you were so rudely interrupted.
You
Go
were.
ahead.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I think we just mixed really different styles. Like how would a Middle Eastern, like you just heard, sound with
we heard it.
Middle Eastern rhythm sound with African harmonies and Chinese melodies on top of it. Like we just mix all kinds of different world music. Like I said, Tibetan throat singing with musical theater, Indian music with rap, microtonal music, like different meters,
sure.
with electronic, with electronic. So and then like unconventional, playing instruments unconventionally,
sure,
or building new instruments. I think one of the things that I sent you was like on Gaia, someone used a chainsaw on some metal to just like to really give that sound, or a banjo with a slide, I think is what you were trying to play. So just like really playing things unconventionally, thinking outside of the box.
Sure.
That's how we made a lot of this music.
That's great, man. Yeah, I think that's part of why people, Star Wars music itself is obviously, iconic, going back to John Williams, but what we've talked about a lot recently, especially with The Mandalorian. Have you watched The Mandalorian?
Of course.
So, with The Mandalorian especially, the first 2 seasons, we talked about actually recently, the 3rd season had just a different feel and it was different music. But those first 2 seasons, they really leaned into these kind of world instruments and this sound that was distinctly non-Western. And I think that's part of what's helping maybe us Star Wars nerds and music nerds bridge the gap that, oh my gosh, John Williams is not writing this, is that they're kind of, just the use of world instruments and the blending of that with kind of the Western stuff that we're used to in America. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, and it also just adds different sounds that we're not used to that, expose more people to different stuff. That's Disney though, right?
They're brilliant there. I think that their post-production department with Pippa Anderson as the head of it, like, they just know, they think ahead of whatever people think and know, like hiring Ludwig Göransson or Joseph Shirley. They're like brilliant casting, and their music is insanely good. And to me, like, to us music lovers, that makes a lot of the TV series, that brings a lot of the heart to it. For
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We've already taken up a whole hour of your time. I think I could talk to you forever, and especially just keep picking your brain about all the different things that you worked on, and how, like, what was your inspiration for so many of the different things, and how cool it was. I think it's amazing that you did work on all these different things, especially, like you said, coming from a Cinderella story where you just happen to run into a guy
right time.
at the right place at the right time.
Had to pee at the right place at the right time. Like one less beer at that place. Maybe you wouldn't have had to use the restroom. He wouldn't have sat in for you on the piano, and you wouldn't be here on our podcast. And where would we be?
And where would
we
would
have
be?
nothing to do.
We would
tonight.
have nothing to talk about because we wouldn't have you to talk to tonight. So,
no, but it has been awesome. It's been really cool. I mean, again, we're just two guys who love Star Wars in Rob's basement.
Yeah.
Broadcasting out to the world, but it's really cool getting just firsthand information about people who are on the just doing the thing and working with Disney and Star Wars. So thanks for coming on, man.
Of course, thank you. And if I can just reiterate one more thing, is like, music, especially in all these huge projects, is never like, like I said, it's a big title to be the music producer, but it is like the fruit of love of so many people, and it's collaboration. And like, I want to just give kudos for the music for the Galactic Star Cruiser. There were Joseph Ishine, who worked with me on the Gaia stuff, at Judith Hill, Benoit Jutra, and Keiko, who wrote some of the songs. And I don't know if I already said, but Dan Scott did help me manage the whole thing, amazing producer and recording engineer. And all of us, 8 hours of music, we all chipped in, got into the mic and sang a little bit too. Rich Shippen mixed this great album. And of course, Scott Trowbridge, Wendy, and Mark Rothschild, Michael Garver, and Ann Morrow, who were able, who came up with this amazing project that needed music. So it's definitely a team effort, and I was very grateful and lucky to be in that team.
That is awesome.
I think a lot of people who aren't in music don't realize how lonely it can be because, like, as musicians, we spend so much time alone in a room perfecting our craft that when we get to actually, when we do get that opportunity to create with other people who are passionate about it, it does, it gives you life. You know what I mean? Like, because we spend hours and hours making ourselves, like, critiquing ourselves, and that wasn't right, and we're just alone in this room, and people view musicians and music as this always collaborative thing. It is like when you get to work on these things with people and you're 100% in. I've been there. It's maybe not in Disney, but in other places.
That's the fun part of it. Like, someone else would come up with an idea that I'll never in a million years come up with. Then we perfect that idea, and that's how most of these things come to be.
Yeah.
Especially same with money, same thing to everything. So that, to me, that's the fun part, collaboration.
Yeah, and I know you've worked on quite a few nighttime spectaculars and fireworks shows and things like that. And my son is a freshman in college right now, but last year he went on senior trip in this area. One of the big senior trip places is to go to Disney World. So for a senior trip, he went to Disney World, and then we were fortunate enough to be able to go this past summer again. And we're standing there watching the fireworks shows, and he just started crying because the music was so impactful with the fireworks and everything else. And it wouldn't have been the same thing. Like, we stayed in a hotel while we were down there in Reedy Creek, speaking of the Reedy Creek Improvement Plan. Yeah. And we had a view of the fireworks. The first night we're in our room, we're watching it without the music. The fireworks are cool. Fireworks are always cool. It's one of the things that is totally fun to watch. Is things exploding. Great exploding
stuff.
is easy to enjoy. But once we played the music, people record things all the time. I don't know if you know this or not, on this thing called YouTube. And So he was able to, I don't know how he did it. He synced it up really closely to where we were. He was like, okay, the fire system going off for about 3 minutes now, and he forwarded out 3 minutes out, and it was pretty close. Once we were listening to the music in the hotel room, it was so much better. And then when we were there watching it live, it was so much better. So like with Harmonious that you worked on, and I know you did other fireworks spectaculars, without the music, it would not have been nearly as good as it was. It would have been fun to watch things blow up and, you know, lasers and water and all that fun stuff, but the music really brings it all together. So from me, a non-musician, I want to say thank you to you and your team and all the people that you work with who did make these fireworks spectaculars that next step better by adding all this awesome music to it. And like you said with Harmonious, how you were traveling the world to get these different bands and music groups and stuff like that. The dedication, like, I don't know if Disney will let you just call it in and be like, oh, look, here we go, blah, 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 and you got something done, and you're like, here it is. But the fact that you do take that extra step and you do say, you know, we need to take that extra step, I love it, and I thank you for that because it is awesome. It does totally make it so much better.
Thank you for guys for listening to the music and reaching out to me. It's always great to share this love with other people that notice it and share the story.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah,
and I love playing it. I've been playing the two playlists in my classroom just as background music because it's fun. It's quiet enough that I can turn the volume down a little bit where the kids are just like, what is this? Because they all want to listen to their own music. And I'm like, you want to listen to music? You're listening to my music. Here's some Star Wars music. And they're like, okay. So some of them like it. Some of them who like Star Wars like it. Others of them, you know, kids, I don't know if you know anything about kids, but they complain about everything. So they're going to complain whether it's their own music or not. But I've been playing it in school and loving it and having a great time. So I'm like, I know this guy.
But
So
in the meantime, like, check out, again, he's at yaronspiwak.com. Again, he does have that new album. Can you get that on Spotify?
What,
Any of your newest music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
All right. So is that if they search Yaron Spiwak, will it come right on up?
no, you have to.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you're on Tidal, you can see what I produced for Disney, which is about 16 albums and singles, and there's also some of my own stuff that range from like jazz and pop and all kinds of stuff.
Great.
So yeah, thank you for mentioning it.
Yeah,
You got
and
it,
your website, yaronspiwak.com. Check that out. Your Instagram.
And somehow
is,
we've got an hour in, and I'm only now. I've made it this far. I'm only now mentioning how strong your mustache is. I mean, like, listen, man.
Nick is a big fan of facial hair.
Like,
He
I've been
comments-
begging Rob to keep this beard. It's been going strong since November. He shaves it. He looks like a 15-year-old. Like, you know, everyone's raving about Din Djarin and Pedro Pascal, but your mustache puts his to shame. I'm just putting that out there. It's a
Well,
fantastic
as long
mustache.
as like it's compared to Tom Selleck and Ted Lasso and not Luigi. then-
Yeah.
No, farthest from my mind. Yeah, I can definitely see a Ted Lasso. I could for sure. Strong work.
I don't for whatever reason I don't have the facial structure for just the mustache.
I don't know. I
tried
think you
it
could do
once.
it.
No, I tried it. I hated it. But it looks amazing on you. There's some people that a mustache looks amazing on you. Ted Lasso, Tom Selleck.
We'll
it's
have
all
you
the
back
same.
for our mustache and facial hair podcast
That's
next year.
right.
That's the next one.
Banter,
Yeah.
Beskar, and
And
facial
facial
hair.
All right. Yaron Spiwak, it's been really great chatting with you about music and about your time over at Disney and your experiences. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yes, thank
brother.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. What a guy,
Your
man.
video popped out, by the way. For the past,
What's funny is when I pointed at you earlier, it was because your video popped out.
Oh, that's weird because I'm seeing me, but I'm not seeing you.
Well, it's late. Why don't we
It
just
is late.
end the podcast?
So
we'll make it happen from there.
yeah,
if you're watching us on YouTube, maybe you see me, maybe you see Rob, maybe you see
tell
no
us
one.
who you see. Maybe there's nobody there
it's
at all.
possible, and we're just talking to the void. But either way, that was rad. It was great talking
It
to
was
Yaron
rad,
Spiwak.
yeah.
He's a cool dude. He's seems very down to earth.
Yeah.
While still being, a pretty big deal. Check
He's
out
a
his
very big
music.
deal.
Hopefully we'll get to talk to him again soon. Right?
Yeah.
But either way, anything else before I go to sleep?
No, but I hope you don't fall asleep in the basement. I hope you make it home first.
Well, I think the bike will wake me up.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's pretty loud.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, from here in Bantha Milk Podcast headquarters, Yaron and us have spoken.
We have spoken.